so gratifying.
Oh, look, there's Denny.
And Chamberlain. Such a variety of social intercourse. What a charming apartment you have here, Mrs. Phillips. Upon my word, it reminds me greatly of the small summer breakfast room at Rosings.
Does it indeed, sir? I'm much obliged to you, I'm sure.
I'm sure that Mr. Collins wishes to pay a compliment, Aunt.
Does he? I see.
Rosings Park, we must understand, is very grand indeed.
Oh, indeed it is. Oh, my dear madam, if you thought that I intended any slight on your excellent and very comfortable arrangements, I am mortified. Rosings Park is the residence of my noble patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh.
Oh, now I understand.
The chimney-piece in the second drawing-room alone cost £800.
Now I see. It's clear there's no offence at all.
Yes, but I have one every week. Of course, this time of year we must expect inclement weather and not be cast down by it.
Quite.
You were right. To talk about the weather is absurd.
You do it most agreeably, Mr. Wickham.
No, we will change the subject.
Cards? I know little of games. And yet I dare say it is my duty to improve myself in these fields, especially in view of my situation in life.
Would you come along, Mr. Collins?
Oh, of course, of course. Good evening, good evening. Please accept my apologies.
Tell me, how long has Mr. Darcy been staying at Netherfield?
About a month.
He is a man of very large property in Derbyshire, I understand.
Yes, his estate there is a noble one.
And a clear 10,000 a year.
You could not have met with a person more capable of giving you correct information on that head than myself, for I have been connected with his family from my infancy.
Yes, you're surprised. Perhaps you might have noticed the cold manner of our greeting. Are you much acquainted with Mr. Darcy?
As much as I ever wished to be. I've spent 3 days in the same house with him, and I find him very disagreeable.
I have no right to give my opinion as to his being disagreeable or otherwise.
I fear there are few who share that opinion, except myself.
But he's not at all liked in Hertfordshire. Everybody is disgusted with his pride.
That is unusual. The world is mostly blinded by his fortune and consequence, and frightened by his high and imposing manner.
Do you know... Does he intend to stay long at Netherfield?
I do not know.
I hope your plans in the Loamshire Regiment will not be affected by his being in the neighbourhood.
Thank you. But it is not for me to be driven away by Mr. Darcy. If he wishes to avoid seeing me, he must go. Oh, we are not on friendly terms, but I have no reason to avoid him but one. He has done me great wrong. His father, Miss Bennet, the late Mr. Darcy, was one of the best men that ever breathed.
His behavior to myself has been scandalous, but I could forgive him that, were it not that he has disgraced the memory of his good father.
Indeed, I find that society in Hertfordshire quite exceeds my expectations.
It was the prospect of good society, constant and agreeable society of the kind that I see here, that lured me to your regiment.
Society, I own, is necessary to me. I have been a disappointed man, as a military life is not what I was intended for. The church ought to have been my profession, and would have been, had it pleased the gentleman that we were speaking of just now.
Indeed.
Yes, the late Mr. Darcy bequeathed me the next presentation of the best living in his gift. He was my godfather, and excessively attached to me. He meant to provide amply for me, and thought he had done so, but when the living next fell vacant, it was given elsewhere.
Good heavens. But how could his will be disregarded? Did you not seek legal redress?
There was such an informality in the terms of the bequest as to give me no hope from the law. A man of honor could not have doubted the intention. But Mr. Darcy chose to doubt it. When the living became vacant 2 years ago, it was given to another man.
I have a warm, unguarded temper. I may perhaps have spoken my opinion of him, and to him, too freely. I can recall nothing worse. The fact is, we are very different sort of men. And that he hates me.
This is quite shocking. He deserves to be publicly disgraced.
Someday he will be, but not by me. Till I can forget his father, I can never defy or expose him.
But why?
Jealousy. His father... Well, he loved me better, and Darcy couldn't stand it.
I had not thought Mr. Darcy as bad as this.
I supposed him to be despising his fellow creatures in general.
To descend to such malicious revenge.
Injustice, inhumanity. His disposition must be dreadful.
To treat in such a way the godson, the favourite of his father.
We grew up together, Darcy and I.
We played together as children.
My father managed his estate.
Tell me, what sort of girl is Miss Darcy?
I wish I could call her amiable, but she has grown too much like her brother. Very proud. As a child, she was affectionate and pleasing and extremely fond of me. And I've devoted hours and hours to her amusement. I never see her now. Since her father's death, her home has been in London.
Have you made Mr. Bingley's acquaintance yet?
No. He must be a very amiable gentleman.
Oh, yes. I wonder very much how Mr. Darcy could impose upon him. He cannot know what Mr. Darcy is.
Probably not. Mr. Darcy can please what he chooses if he thinks it's worth his while. Among his equals in wealth and consequence, he can be liberal-minded, honourable, even agreeable.
Pray do not consider my loss of the smallest importance. The money is a mere trifle. When persons sit down at a card table, they must take their chance of these things. Pray, no one must make themselves uneasy on my account. 5 shillings?
Lately, Lady Catherine de Bourgh has given him a living.
But she is Mr. Darcy's aunt. For it is believed Mr. Darcy is to marry the daughter, Miss de Bourgh. The two estates would be united. Why are you laughing?
I was thinking of poor Miss Bingley, trying so hard, but to no avail. He is self-destined for another.